Greetings and salutations, mighty Vikings. In this video, I will try to summarize and make sense of the magnificent story behind Clair Obscur Expedition 33. Just recently, we've finished our full playthrough. The link will be down in the description if you want to tag along and see our emotional roller coaster. But please do make sure to bring a tissue along because the story is full of onion traps. Let's try to have a look at the big picture before we dive into the details. The story behind Clair Obscur is a story about grief, loss, and acceptance. And in the spotlight of it is the Descendre family, I'm probably butchering the name, I'm apologizing, who just cannot cope with their grief about a lost family member. Interestingly enough, also the members of the family all represent one of those kind of stages of grief and loss. Aline, for example, the paintress, the mother of the whole family, she stands for denial and desperately tries to attempt to preserve the past, the last image of her whole family that she had. Renoir, her husbando, he's for anger and despair. He's trying to seek and erase all traces to just end the suffering. The older daughter, Clair, she's for acceptance. She just wants that the family finally moves onwards and lets it be and, tries to tell them to let go and move forward. And then we have Verso and Alicia, aka Mael, who represent memories and identities, embodying the struggle between preserving cherished memories and confronting the painful truths. And all of this family drama is captured within a canvas. And the family, being a family of artists and painters, they do have the ability to enter into the canvas and live in this fictional world that they have created, aka painted. Therefore, the canvas, you can see it like a human psyche, an internal world built to protect oneself from trauma. And then there's the gommage, the annual erasure that signifies the destruction, the nature of denying reality and attempting to control or erase painful emotion. And that ultimately actually leads to deeper suffering and loss of self. Overall, the game tries to give us a moral and a message of trying to heal your wounds through acceptance, trying to resolute and stop escaping your grief, and also presents us towards the end a choice between preserving the fantasy in the canvas or destroying it and go back to reality. Now that we have a big picture, let's start at the beginning. Expedition 33 showcases the painters to have special abilities to create art and kind of like putting your soul into what you create. They can put their individuality into the picture, into the canvas, and then use their artsy power to hop into this canvas and something like putting on a VR glasses and be in this virtual world, create things on your own and kind of live with your world, with your simulation that you've created within this frame, within those canvases. So in Expedition 33, we are in the canvas of Verso, one of the Descendre family members, who has passed away in real life by a fire that has been created by the so-called other faction, the Riders. We don't get to know a lot about the Riders and what's going outside of the canvas other than Clair is trying to find them and wants the family to move on in order to, confront their other nemesis or enemy or whatever they may be. So after that fire breaks out and Verso dies and Mael, aka Alicia, gets heavily burned, the whole family finds refuge in Verso's old canvas, trying to relive the past, trying to see the family before it, broke apart, members died, and meet certain characters that have been created within those frames that are very often found in equal in the real life. Like later on you meet Monoko, one of the members that is actually, well, a childish point of view of how he painted and pictured his dog outside of the canvas. So the whole Descendre family, except of Clair, kind of tries to find refuge in these old memories until Renoir, the father, sees that the family is losing themselves in grief. So he wants to erase what has been created. So the family does not have access to the canvas anymore and hopes with that kind of action that they come back to him. And such the fracture happens. The first influence of Renoir coming to the painting and trying to destroy it and alter it. But lost in grief, Aline, the paintress, creates the so-called gommage. She paints a number out on a big monolith, starting at 100, counting down. And every time the number goes down, people at that age or beyond just evaporate. They turn into beautiful white and red petals and just disappear. Gommage means also translated from French to erase. And if I'm not mistaken, it's also a food, but that was the birth time of the so-called expeditions. Weirdly enough, starting not at Expedition 100, but at Expedition 0, and then counting down 99, 98, and so on until today, where Expedition 33 prepares to head out and fight the Painters, because they, at that point, don't know what is causing the Gommage and see the Paintress as the big nemesis and enemy of these waves of death and want to stop her. Hence the slogan, for those who come after, meaning expeditions move out, trying to find an ending to what is happening, trying to fight the Paintress, leave clues behind for the next expedition to pick up and move forward. That kind of like endless struggle of humanity, of resisting, of finding the anomaly. Very poetical and very artsy if you look at it from this kind of perspective. And so our journey begins with Expedition 33 introducing us into the first protagonist, being part of this fictional world, and well, let us and shows us that they are but an creation of fiction and not real, at least for the people outside of the canvas, or in their world, in their frames, in their canvas. It is real. It is a simulation. They live, they feel, they fear, they love, they hate, they have anger, and it feels very real for them. And such makes the whole story so beautiful and painful at the same time, and tries to give us a lesson of how to deal with grief. I love it. Moving fast forward, you meet all kinds of companions and have a few story hooks that bring you closer to the Paintress. There's also a change of protagonists from our beloved Gustav to one of the Descendre families, and remaining fractures of memories of that person, Verso, the guy who burned alive in the Descendre villa in real life outside of canvas, and also fractures of memory of Alicia, that at a later point get unlocked in Mael's memory, and making her realize that they're one and the same person. That's also around the time where we have our first interaction with outside the canvas and get a big piece of the puzzle to see more of the big picture, and then moving on to the very difficult decision to either let Mael recreate the whole fictional world that she has been grown up with, that she has been flee into in order to not cope and deal with her loss of her brother, or you side with Verso and let him fight against Mael and bring her out of the canvas and force her to go and destroy the canvas so that Mael can go back into reality and the whole family has not this fictional world to flee into and cope and, finally, hopefully, settle the grief, embrace it, and work about it. There's a slight hint that being a family of artists, they can always keep creating art. They can always keep creating a new picture on a canvas. So in a sense, it is kind of like let go, but not everything is lost. You can recreate it. You can build it anew if you so wish to. And that wonderful ending scene where Mael is standing in front of Verso's grave and herself with the whole main protagonists appear in front of her again. Oh man, that was such an onion cutting moment, I can tell you. I encourage you again to watch the Let's Play, join our emotional rides, and yeah, I think that sums it about up. I think that is the most important plot hooks and keys about what's happened to the storyline and what the big picture is. If you have anything to add, please throw it down to the comments. If you enjoyed it, leave it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And hope to see you on our next Let's Plays and journeys of emotional roller coasters, may it be RPGs, may it be strategy games. It is you who can help me decide what kind of project we tackle next. And also encourage you to have a look at our final build that we've created and beat the game with. And with that, I thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.